I'd like to call the Tuesday, March 18, 2014 Papillion City Council meeting to order. Mrs. Butler, would you please take the roll?
Florence. Here. Mumgard. Gaines. Glover. Yes. Jaworski. Here. Klug. Here. Stubbe. Here. Ingberg. Here.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And do we have an affidavit of publication on file?
That is correct.
A current copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of the City Council chambers. Chief, you want to join me? Officer Frank, you want to join me? We've got a couple of special presentations, and the first one is an oath of office for a new police officer. Just a real quick comment, though. This one's a little bit unique. I think in the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, we've had several employees who have done a 180-degree shifting career, but have stayed with the city of Papillion while they've done it. Been in one department doing one job with one skill set and moving to a totally different department with a totally different skill set. I think that's a nice thing about Papillion, that they've got those opportunities to do that. But the nice one in this case is Frank moved from the water department to the police force, and the chief can talk about it, in that he did not get any special consideration. He had to test for it along with everybody else and make it through the process. But I think it talks about the quality of the employees that have made it to the process. But Chief?
I think somebody may have helped him with the test. Is that true? Officer Mattia?
There.
Yeah. I can't figure it out myself.
Don't go there.
Yeah, Mayor and council members, it's a great pleasure to introduce you to our newest officer, Frank Mattia, Jr. Frank was born and raised in Omaha and Bellevue, and he graduated from Bryan High School in 2001. After high school, he worked a number of jobs until the luckiest day of his life in 2005, when his teeth hurt. He was required to go to the dentist, and at the dentist office, he met the love of his life, Janelle, whom he ended up marrying in 2010. She happened to be the dental hygienist there, so. Frank started employment with the city of Papillion, as the mayor said, in 2008 down at the water plant. Early on, he expressed an interest in maybe possibly becoming a police officer sometime down the road. I believe he had a short conversation with our city administrator and about becoming a future police officer, and I think Dan's advice to him is to do his job, his present job, very well, get his education requirements out of the way, because of course we require a 2-year degree, and to participate in the civil service process like everybody else does. Frank went ahead and did that. He plugged away. He ended up receiving his associate's degree from Metro, and shortly thereafter that, in 2012, he took the test with our department. He did very well on the test. However, our testing process is so slow that by the time we got around to having a vacancy and the ability to interview Frank, who had moved up the list gradually, it was already 2013, and the list was just about to expire. So Frank was our last available vacancy to fill, and fortunately he came before me, as did others, and interviewed. I interviewed him extensively. Did we not, Frank?
Yes, we did.
How many hours, Frank?
A lot.
And Frank, suffice to say, Frank earned the position that he's in now. As a matter of fact, the mayor alluded to the fact that he had transferred over to the water plant. In 25 years, I have yet, in the last 25 years, have not been able to identify another officer that we had on the department that had transferred over from an existing city department. It's very difficult to do. As Frank would tell you, you have to plug away and keep at it. You have to be very persistent, because getting a job in policing, I believe when he tested for us, we originally had 2 vacancies at the time, and I think there were probably about 180 applicants for those jobs. So it speaks very well of Frank's persistence and his intellect. We sent Frank off after we hired him in, when did we hire you? October, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
October, we sent him directly off to the Nebraska Law Enforcement Training Academy, and he graduated in February of this year. So he was away from his family, from his wife, substantially through the greater portion of the holidays. He was able to come home on weekends, and while he was at the academy, he and his wife found out that they're expecting their first child. So congratulations, Janelle and Frank.
Thank you.
So after Nebraska Law Enforcement Training Academy, he comes home, he graduates, we go to the graduation, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I was pulled aside by several of the instructors down there that told me how lucky we were to have landed Frank. He was very dedicated throughout the process and finished near the top of his class. I was very, very impressed when I got his grades a few weeks back, so that speaks well of Frank as well. He's now enrolled in field training, and we'll be working alongside a training officer until at least June, I suspect, and then he'll be turned loose on the streets to patrol on his own. So I would just like to acknowledge his mother in the back, Mother Ava, wife Janelle. I believe that's your sister, right?
Absolutely.
And her name?
Michaela.
And who is she with?
Her husband, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle. Hi, Michaela. And who's the little guy in between?
Oh, that is Tristan.
Okay.
And then that's Willie. Little Willie.
Well, thanks for coming. We're glad to have Frank. And so with that, Mayor, I'll turn it over to you. I've said everything nice I can about the guy. Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Got to do the oath of office, and ours is not a short one. I think the president's is shorter. So raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Frank Mattia,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
and without mental reservation
and without mental reservation
or for the purpose of evasion,
or for the purpose of evasion,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
perform the duties of the office
perform the duties of the office
of police officer
of police officer
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
And I do further swear
And I do further swear
that I do not advocate
that I do not advocate
or am a member of
or a member of
any political party or
any
organization
political party or organization
that advocates the overthrow
that advocates the overthrow
of the government of the United
of
States
the government of the United States
or of this state
or of this state
by force or
by
violence,
force or violence,
and that during such time
and that during such time
as I am in this position,
as I am in this position,
I will not advocate
I will not advocate
nor become a member of
nor become a member of
any political party or organization
any political party or organization
that advocates the overthrow
that advocates the overthrow
of the United States
of the United States
or of this state
or of this state
by force or violence.
by force or violence.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Family want pictures? Family want pictures? You want to say anything?
I guess I'll say,
You're in a unique spot.
yeah, I enjoy working for the city. I love working for the city, so it's an honor that I get to wear this uniform every day. I love coming to work. I mean, I'm in FTO, it's tough, but I enjoy it. I come to work, and I love doing my job, so I'm honored to protect you people. So, thank you.
Need one more signature. Thanks again.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Next is we move from policing to audit. How do we do that? Jody? We have our annual audit report of the last year's finances. The audit committee has met and reviewed it, and Jody is here with the audit firm to give us a report.
Thank you. My name is Jody Rennie, and I'm with the firm HSMC Horizon. And thank you again for allowing us to perform the audit of your financial statements. I will just give a brief summary since I already met with the audit committee prior to this meeting. You did receive an unmodified opinion, which is on pages 9 through 11 of your 100-page audit report, and that is the best opinion that you can receive, so that's good. The last two pages, 99 and 100, is our report on compliance and internal controls over financial reporting, and there were no matters of noncompliance for us to report, and there were no material weaknesses, so again, that is also good. Last year, you actually had a third opinion from us, which was the major federal award programs. But because you did not spend more than $500,000 in federal funds this year, we did not have to do that audit. So there, you'll notice that that is missing from the report, but that's because it was not required this year. So unless anyone has any questions, that's all I had to report. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And on that note, I think it was 2 years ago, we raised our own internal standards when it comes to audit. Our only requirement is to have the external audit, which Jody just reported on, and we've always done that every year, and they've always been clean audits, but there's an opportunity to go on for an additional independent external review called the CAFR, if you remember that, and it is a peer it's a review, and we have to be awarded that, and we're pleased to say that we were awarded that again for the third year. So congratulations to Nancy and her team. Kathleen Hall, who is the past president of the Great Plains GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, is here to actually present the award and say a few words. Nancy, you want to come up?
Hello. I first began my career in government finance back in 1988, so I'm a lot older than she is. I've sat on the CAFR review committee for the GFOA at a national level, and I can tell you that you can never overestimate the amount of work that goes into preparing a CAFR. When we started the Great Plains GFOA about 5 years ago, I was privileged to be president for the first 2 years, and I think Nancy was one of our first members. So to me, participation at that level and then producing a CAFR and receiving that award shows a commitment on the part of this city's government that you can all be very proud of, to openness and accountability to your citizens. Congratulations, great job. You're only one of 9 governments in the state of Nebraska to receive this award, so you can be very proud of all of yourselves, but especially you.
Thank you very much. As long as we were talking about new staff, we mentioned it at the last council meeting that Brian Craig was given the official chief building official. He filled in as interim and raised his hand and said he wanted the position permanently. So, Brian, you just want to stand up so people know who you are. I think everybody does, but thank you again for stepping up and taking a new leadership position within the city. Appreciate that. Mr. Hoynes, Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I think it probably goes without being said that regarding the CAFR, that's obviously a voluntary process, and so to step up, there's 6 governments alone in Sarpy County, the smallest county in the state of Nebraska, and so it does speak well for Nancy and the organization to provide that level of transparency. Specific to tonight, Mayor and council members, I just wanted to point out a couple of things on the consent agenda. We have a tendency sometimes to, because those are procedural, to not pay a lot of attention to them. But I did want to point out item C4, the 84th Street overlay. I've mentioned before that this is, I'm pretty certain the local newspaper is going to run a section called the Cone Zone again this year, as they did several years ago when we had a lot of development. When it comes to 84th Street, you're well aware that the federal project, by the way, we'll be doing that audit again next year, but just along with the 84th Street project, is underway. But this is sending the overlay. It's done every 5 or 6 years. Of course, it's a state highway, and it's an overlay, but we anticipate starting that in late May, and it will conclude, the target is to conclude before school opens up. It's the entire stretch of 84th Street within the city of Papillion. We're coordinating. It's been a little bit complicated with all of our events and races and Papillion days and things like that, but that's out there. The second item on consent agenda, C6 2014 concrete repairs, to authorize for bids on that. Our projected estimate and budget for that's $350,000. That is a $50,000 increase in concrete street repairs over last year, and so we are credit to you as a council member, if you didn't recall that, continue to increase that and try to meet the demands. I'm sure the city engineer and Marty would tell you they probably could use more, but it's moving in the right direction. 2 final things. Before you convene, in fact, the next day you convene, April 1st, 2014, will be the official takeover day of the merger with the La Vista Fire Department. we're in the final stages of planning a couple of events, one earlier and one later in the morning about 9:30. We'll get that information out to you. I would really encourage you, if you're available, to come out and recognize that transition. Portion of it's to honor the La Vista volunteers that have served, and then the second portion's to kick off our service, our combined service to the citizens of Papillion and La Vista. So you want to pencil that in. I'll try to get that information. Yes, Mr. Glover. April 1. April 1. I think it's 7 a.m. officially, Bill, in the morning when we take off, but something earlier, maybe about 6:30 for you early birds, and then something more formal, press conference type of thing is what we're looking at around 9:30 a.m. And so you're certainly invited as council members to come out, and you've certainly been key in making sure that happened and approving all of the agreements. Conclude my report, Mr. Mayor, by just pointing out, as a reminder, the April 25th, it's a Friday, council retreat. We're going out to Mahoney this year. We'll be putting more of that information together. If you haven't already responded to Nicole, if you could please. I think we do have a quorum. She mentioned the other day, certainly enough to have the meeting, but it's pretty important to have all council members there for that strategic planning. So if you could check your calendars and make sure you responded to her, and we'll get more information out to you. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Councilwoman Klug. Second by Councilman Jaworski. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item D1, Ordinance 1690, an ordinance to approve the change of zone of certain real property within the zoning jurisdiction of the City of Papillion, Sarpy County, Nebraska, legally described as part of the east half of the southeast quarter of Section 32, Township 14 North, Range 12 East of the 6th PM, Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on the northwest corner of 108th Street and Schramm Road, from agricultural AG to single-family residential medium-density R2, to amend the official zoning map of the City of Papillion by changing the zoning district boundaries of the zoning map in accordance with Section 20532 of Papillion Municipal Code, and to provide for an effective date. Is there a council member that will introduce? Introduced by Councilman Ingberg. Thank you. Item E1, Ordinance 1688, an ordinance to approve the change of zone of certain real property within the zoning jurisdiction of the City of Papillion, Sarpy County, Nebraska, legally described as a tract of land located in the south half of Section 28 and also part of the southeast quarter of Section 29, all located in Township 14 North, Range 12 East of the 6th PM, Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on the north side of Highway 370 at 108th Street, from agricultural AG and single-family residential medium-density R2 to single-family residential medium-density R2 and mixed-use MU, to amend the official zoning map of the City of Papillion by changing the zoning district boundaries of the zoning map in accordance with Section 20532 of the Papillion Municipal Code, and to provide for an effective date. This is Kingsbury Hills replat. This is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Do we have any proponents? Would you state your name for the record?
Good evening, John Bachman, 10250 Regency Circle. I'm here on behalf of the developer, BHI Development.
She's coming up to help you.
Thank you. Okay. Nope. There we go. That's north. North is at the top. This really is two areas of replatting, one in Kingsbury and one in Granite Falls. The Kingsbury lots are currently zoned R2 and will continue to be zoned R2. Those are in this area, basically on the east or the west side of the project. R2 will continue into Granite Falls in this particular area. Similar type of lot, similar type single-family housing that currently exists in Kingsbury. The lot up front that is currently identified as R4. That is a proposed apartment lot, but in discussions with the staff, we have agreed to request an MU zoning for that lot, so that at some point in time we will be back to you with a mixed-use development agreement that will specifically identify the uses, the density, and all the aspects that go along with mixed-use agreements that you're familiar with. Currently, the plans would be very similar to the apartments that you've approved for Shadow Lake, and at somewhat of a less dense unit per acre. What we have submitted is 17 units per acre, and Shadow Lake and I believe another apartment complex are in the 20 to 21 units per acre. Finally, this big lot, which is zoned R2, and you also have on your agenda a special use permit for the Papillion La Vista school site to develop a new middle school on that particular tract. At the Planning Commission, there were concerns expressed by some of the neighbors in Kingsbury on the apartments. We did have a meeting with several of the residents last week. I guess we're at a point where we're going to agree to disagree as to what occurs on this front lot. However, I want to reiterate that we're requesting and will be revising to MU zoning so that whatever development occurs on that will again come before you with a specific development plan with all the details. I draw your particular attention to some of the comments that the staff has made regarding multifamily housing along Highway 370. It does fall within your comprehensive master plan. It's appropriate for that particular area. As I said, the density is less than what has already been approved for the Shadow Lake apartments, which have been very successful and are very nice looking. These two would be intended to be upscale, young professional residents to provide a nice mix of residents for your particular city. I do have with me tonight our engineer Mark Westergaard and Doug Lewis of the Papillion La Vista School District. If there are any particular questions, engineering or as it relates to the school district. If there are some opposition, I'd like a short time for some rebuttal. With that, I request your approval of the rezoning of these areas.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other proponents? Anybody want to speak in favor? Do we have any opponents? When you come up, if you'd state your name for the record.
My name is Eric Mahold, and I'm a resident of Kingsbury Hills. I live on Sherman Street. And this section here for R4 is the disputed area. And part of that is the safety concern. We've already requested a traffic study out on 114th and 370. My understanding is that's concluded, and we were just under the threshold for a light on that area. This area, the conceptual design, is going to add another 275 to about 300 home or residents or apartment units there. And the most direct route for this living area is going to be through Sherman Street. You can't see it very well here to the west because this area is in small print, but Sherman Street has been designed very poorly and does not have good slowdown mechanism. There are a lot of fast drivers. There's a roundabout, but the roundabout doesn't slow down very many vehicles. At the moment, there's 175 homes that have been closed on, and there's at least 2 children per home. So you're looking at 300 children, all of them just about 10 years or younger, who will be utilizing the R2 zone for the middle school. Our concern is that this design does not factor in safety concerns for the children that are going to be inside the no bus zone and are going to be walking to and from the high school, as well as restricting the pass-through traffic through the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other opponents?
Hi, good evening. My name is Richard Ramirez. I'm a resident of Kingsbury Hills. I live at 10807 South 110th Street. And as a resident and parent, I'm concerned also about the safety. 2 points I wanted to make was safety and then quality of life there. In this area, you have 370 coming down the road here at 108th, or what will be Granite Falls Road. And you have directly across the street the high school. So you're going to have two schools, the junior high and the high school. And this apartment complex with 270 units will be right directly in between both of those. Concern of young, inexperienced teenage drivers coming to and from school, the traffic from the buses coming in, dropping off kids, picking up kids, and also after school activities coming in for games and after games. I've actually passed by Bryan High School all the time, and there they have an apartment complex right across from their high school. And it's very difficult for parents and even the buses coming in and out, because you'll have, like in very much this scenario here, where you have the apartment complex, the ingress and egress will actually be on Granite Hills Road, and it's going to be just a 2-lane road. So if somebody's turning in or making a left-hand, right-hand turn, it's going to start backing up traffic. People are going to have to wait, and again, like it's a concern for kids coming to and from school, walking, and so that's a safety concern. And then it's the quality of life. I understand that they've done the traffic studies, and they're having slow-down lanes to accommodate that, and the lights there at the corner. But then it comes into the fact that, do young professionals want to rent here between a high school and junior high? I'd rather go down the street 2 blocks to Pennant Place, where they're going to put in 360 up to 500 units, apartments, townhouses, and live right near there, near the theater, near the ballpark. It'd be more desirable. So I just see this as more competition. There's already 9 apartment complexes within 5 miles of this location. So that's my disagreement with opposing this building of the apartments there. I would prefer to have additional residential, lower density per an acre. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other opponents?
Thank you. My name is Brenda Brayfield. I live at 10701 South 110th Avenue in Kingsbury Hills. And like Eric mentioned, who also happens to be our HOA president, Sherman Street is the main bus route through Kingsbury Hills. Elementary school children, on average, when I leave in the morning, around the time the bus comes, is anywhere from 20 to 30 children standing there waiting for a bus. If that becomes the main route in and out for young professionals who are not thinking of small children, we run the risk of children getting run over. The other concern is I have a student who is a sophomore at Papillion South. Just this morning, I sat at the entrance of 114th and 370 for 5 minutes, even just to pull out and sit in the middle and wait another 3 minutes to turn on to 370 to get to the high school. Sat through 2 lights to pull out of the high school. If we add another set of apartments there and the middle school, it's just going to make that congestion even worse, especially if we don't qualify for a light at 114th and 370. Another concern we have is the safety. We live outside city limits, therefore we're only serviced by the sheriff's department. We've already had a number of break-ins into vehicles in our neighborhood. We never see sheriff's patrols in our neighborhood unless we request them to come through. Our concern is the sheriff's not going to be able to support our neighborhood, the additional houses going in, the houses and the apartments and everything going in at Werner Park, and then another set of apartments. And the other things too, when we purchased our home 3 years ago, that was all slated for single-family residences. And I think most of the people who built their homes out there, built their homes with the assumption that was going to be single-family residences. And then, as Mr. Ramirez mentioned, you're going to have apartments by Werner Park. You have the apartments at Shadow Lake. We're going to be sandwiched in between several apartment complexes. We would almost like prefer that area be zoned for another entertainment thing. We're several miles from Papio Bay. Our kids have nowhere to go during the summer. It's just going to create more problems for our kids during the summer. My son participates in activities at the high school all year round. If I was a young professional, I would not want to live in apartments in that area surrounded by 2 schools teenage drivers, inexperienced drivers. I think it invites more crime for them, for us. Also, that is the first thing you see as you come into the city of Papillion. Even if they're upscale apartments, I don't think competing with the apartments going in at Werner Park next to restaurants and everything, those are going to rent out. Eventually, they're going to have to drop the rent. That's going to lower the quality of the residents living in the apartments. And we purchased our home. My husband and I grew up in this city. We moved away several years ago. When we decided to move back, we chose Papillion for the quality of the schools, the quality of the economy, the quality of the jobs. We did not choose to build our home in an area where we thought there was eventually going to be apartments. Now, if they want to put in some sort of housing there, make it townhouses, make it stuff that's for sale, not for rent. There's no ownership, accountability in apartments. I've lived in apartments, I've seen it, I've lived in good apartments, bad apartments. There's no accountability on behalf of the residents.
Thank you very much.
And that's our concern. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have any other opponents? Anybody want to speak neutral? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Thank you very much. Next is item F1, Ordinance 1687, an ordinance to approve the change of zone of certain real property within the zoning jurisdiction of the city of Papillion, Sarpy County, Nebraska, legally described as tax lots 25, 26, and 28, Section 21, Township 14 North, Range 12 East of the 6th PM. Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on Portal Road, at to be dedicated 99th Circle from Agricultural AG to Limited Industrial LI, to amend the official zoning map of the city of Papillion by changing the zoning district boundaries of the city map in accordance with section 20532 of the Papillion Municipal Code and to provide for an effective date. This is in regards to the Public Works Facility. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 1687? Motion by Councilman Glover, second by Councilman Stube. Any council discussion? Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F2, Resolution R13-0039-08, a resolution to approve a right-of-way acquisition from the Nebraska Department of Roads, NDOR, for the Washington Street, 84th Street reconstruction project from Cedardale Road to Capehart Road. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution R13-0039-08? Motion by Councilman Ingberg, second by Councilman Florence. Do we have any proponents? Do we have any opponents? Any council discussion? Please vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F3, Resolution R14-0030, a resolution to approve a real estate agreement with KVI Associates, Inc. and Venture LLC to facilitate the Public Works Facility improvements. And this approval is contingent upon the approval of R14-0031 and R14-0032. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R14-0030 with those contingencies? Motion by Councilwoman Klug, second by Councilman Florence. Any proponents? Any opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. The next two are the contingencies. Item F4, Resolution R14-0031, a resolution to approve the general warranty deed by KVI Associates, Inc. to convey land to the city of Papillion, legally described as a portion of tax lot 20A and a tax lot located in the southeast quarter of Section 21, Township 14 North, Range 12 East of the 6th PM. This is the Public Works Facility. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R14-0031 with those contingencies? Motion by Councilman Stube. Second by Councilwoman Klug. Any proponents? Any opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
And item F5, also one of the contingencies, Resolution R14-0032, a resolution to approve the permanent ingress-egress and maintenance easement agreement with Venture LLC to facilitate the Public Works Facility improvements. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution R14-0032? Motion by Councilman Jaworski. Second by Councilman Glover. Any proponents? Any opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Also the Public Works. A resolution to approve a final plat for the property legally described as tax lots 25, 26, and 28, Section 21, Township 14 North, Range 12 East, generally located on Portal Road to be dedicated 99th Circle. The applicant is the City of Papillion. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution R140034? Motion by Councilwoman Klug. Second by Councilman Stubbe. Any proponents? Any opponents? Council discussion? Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next one, item F7, resolution R140036. This is a public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve a preliminary plat for the property legally described as part of the south half of Section 28 and also part of the southeast quarter of Section 29, all located in Township 14 North, Range 12 East of the 6th PM, Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on the northeast corner of 108th Street and Highway 370. The applicant is BHI Development, Granite Falls. This is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Do you have any proponents?
John Bachman, 10250 Regency Circle, on behalf of BHI Development. This is the Granite Falls portion of this development, which is generally east of what is the old 108th Street, which runs along this line. What you have is about 28 single-family lots in this particular area. The proposed apartment lot here, which we have agreed to zone MU. We've got a small outlot here which will be incorporated into the property that's to the east of Granite Falls, which will be the second phase of Granite Falls and is currently under contract with BHI. And finally, you have the large lot, 40-acre lot for the Millard Middle School site.
Papillion.
Papillion,
Thank you.
yes. A couple things to note. It was intended to have 108th Street be a major through street going out to 370. Based upon our discussions with staff, we have made Whitmas Drive or Granite Falls Drive go on the east side of the school district property. That will help with access to the proposed PNRD dam site that will be located to the north. It avoids a number of public work issues if 108th Street was allowed to be constructed and continued to the north. Finally, we have a Magellan pipeline that you can see on this map that made the site difficult, and it was important for us to be able to structure the building and facilities on the school district site to avoid this pipeline because it will not be moved. We can't touch the dirt on top of it. It just has to stay there as is. That's the preliminary plat for Granite Falls. The engineer and Doug Lewis from Papillion La Vista School District is here if there are any particular questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other proponents? Any opponents? Since there are like items, the testimony from the other one we will carry over, but so you don't have to repeat it all, but feel free to
Correct.
give testimony.
Yeah. Eric Mahold from 11168 Sherman Street for the same safety concerns that I had noted at the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other opponents? Go ahead and close the public hearing. Do we have a motion to approve Resolution R140036? Motion by Councilman Glover. Second by Councilman Stubbe. Any council discussion? Please vote.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Jaworski.
Yeah, I do have a little concern here. My question is if we approve this, that doesn't mean we have to approve apartments. They still have to come back.
Ask Mr. Sturzman to clarify, but the preliminary plat is not a change of zone. It's just establishing the lot lines, and then even if that's approved, we still have the mixed-use agreement that it's got to go through. But can you confirm that and maybe clarify a little bit?
Well, this is the application for the preliminary plat. We had the public hearing on the change of zone earlier. You'll vote on that when the final plat comes through at a later meeting. They have amended their application to revise that lot to mixed use, but the proposed permitted use list is or includes multifamily, and that is their intention. So approving this project, I think, if nothing else, gives the indication that we're going to approve apartments. The mixed use agreement would be focusing on the design and any mix of uses that would then be allowed.
Okay, so if we do approve this, then when would this start? Are we gonna build the houses first? Let the houses get built up and then build the apartments? Or we're gonna build the apartments first and then build the houses?
Mr. Bachman, can you address that from the applicant's side?
And I can give you Shadow Lake as a good example. The houses are going to be built first. Apartments, we do not have an apartment user at this time, and Shadow Lake, it took us 4 or 5 years to find an apartment user. So my thought would be it's going to be the last piece of the puzzle for this particular site. And assuming it is apartments, we will be coming back to you with a detailed mixed-use agreement. You know, there is a possibility that it could be something else. But that's what that mixed-use agreement will tell you exactly what that project's going to be and what it's going to look like.
And we're talking 2 years, 3 years, a year, 6 months?
Well, we're not...
Just the best guess.
My guess is, unless someone comes out that we're not aware of, that apartment lot, I'll call that lot, apartment lot, is going to sit there for at least 3 or 4 years. And the residence will be constructed prior to that lot being developed.
Okay. Well, I got mixed emotions on this because we are putting a lot of apartment buildings in, and we're almost going to get to a point where I keep hearing young professionals have to have some place to live. There's a lot of apartments here in Papillion, and that's a good thing, but we also don't want to overbuild. So I think we have to be very, very careful with this. And that's just my take on it. So I think, I don't know, I'm probably not going to support this because of that. I mean, I would rather have a better definition of what's going on there. I know they're going to be apartments, but if they're going to be apartments, let's build the apartments first and then see if we can sell the houses.
Thank you. Mr. Florence.
You know, I'm going to take the same position Councilman Jaworski did. You know, it's been, I can't even tell you how many times and what apartment complexes have been approved in the city. And each one's been, you know, we need this for young professionals. And now we have Shadow Lakes, we have others going in. I forget the exact number of units but that have been approved, but it's a lot. And I look at this and I see it wedged between a school and a community, and tell you the truth, don't like it. And if I lived there, I'd like it even less. So I can't really say that I would support this, because if it came up and it's mixed use, and then we really know we don't have much control over that. So I won't support this.
Mr. Ingberg.
What always makes it difficult about apartments, I think, is the simple fact you have two different conflicts going on. Many times, and this is no criticism of anybody that spoke to us already in any way or shape or form, but many times people that are against apartments were thankful to have apartments when they first started out in life because they couldn't afford a home, perhaps. But that said, there's also an appropriate time and a place to have apartments put in. I will tell you, over the 22, 23-year history of me sitting on this council, we went through a long period of time where we didn't have it. We didn't approve any, which also was the wrong thing to do, because I think most planners, I won't speak for Mark, but I think most planners will tell you you have to have some sort of balance in what you have offered in your community, because the demographics of your community change over time. With this one, however, and I did approve the last apartments, I think, if I remember correctly, that we did fairly recently. The difficulty I have with this one, part of me says it's a good idea to have it along 370 because it acts as a buffer. Apartments make great buffers for residential areas. However, it could cause some congestion with the middle school going in there, and I suspect that'll probably go in there sooner than later. There's some comments people made about it's going to increase crime. That's not the reason I make a decision, because to me, apartments don't increase crime as much as tell me who's going to manage them. Tell me who's going to maintain them. That's going to dictate that portion of it as far as I'm concerned. So that is something is kind of hard to measure, and I don't put a great deal of stock of as soon as apartments go in, crime's going to rise. But all of that said, that's my long-winded way of saying I don't like the way that this fits, and I think that the council has a little bit of heartburn right now about how much need we have for additional apartments. I know it's an ongoing discussion amongst all of us, because we certainly want to do, I think it's important we defer to those people that are taking the risk, who obviously think it's worth building those apartments, and they are going to be able to rent them. On the other hand, making sure that we have somewhat of a balance of what we offer people. So that said, I'm not going to approve it for those reasons.
Thank you. Ms. Klug.
Thank you. You know, as I look at it, and the roads is what really starts to cause me a lot of hardship. I have the pleasure of driving to the high school on a fairly regular basis, like once or twice a day, and there is a significant portion of traffic. And when I hear the traffic studies are already pushing us close to where we may need another light, that's a state highway. We don't get to control whether we get that light or not. So that adds another undue frustration to the process and what's going on. So just simply looking at the streets, the worry about where the lights are going to go, I just don't feel that I can approve this at this time.
Mr. Bachman, I want to talk something procedurally real quick and get your opinion. You know, we're down 2 council members.
Yes.
And so for something to pass, it's not a majority of those present, it's a majority of the council.
Right.
I'm not counting votes, but I'm assuming you are. Couple of options. We could take a vote tonight, and that would be an up or down vote. Members that are not present or somebody that votes no could request a motion to reconsider, at which time maybe we'd have a full council and see where that goes. That's one option.
Right.
The other one, if you desire, could request that we table it, and then we just take the original vote when the full council is here. We won't open the public hearing again because we've done that. It's just we're at the point of vote, and I want to be fair to you, and then I don't do it just on this project. I tend to do it on any project where we're in this situation of not having a full council. If we're just down 1, I usually don't do it, but if we're down more than 1, you can only really give up 1 vote, and it's been jeopardized. So I want to be fair to you and let you give a little bit of what your preference is for procedurally how to proceed.
Well, I think because the school is a significant part of this plat, and if the plat is not approved by the council, then the school doesn't have a school site. So I would request that this be tabled for another day.
Is there, from the council, is there a motion to table this to the next council? Motion by Councilman Jaworski, second by Councilman Stubbe. Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes, and again, just for public, we've had the public hearing. All this does is it carries the actual vote over to the next council meeting. So there will still be some council discussion at the next meeting, and then we'll take the vote at the next council meeting. Thank you very much. Next is item F8, Resolution R140037, a public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve a preliminary plat for the property legally described as being a replat of lots 202 through 209, Outlot D, Kingsbury Hills, and also lots 1 through 28, Kingsbury Hills, replat 1. Part of the right-of-ways of Sherman Street, 108th Street, 109th Street, Cimarron Circle, Laramie Street, all located in the southeast quarter of Section 29, and also together with part of the southwest quarter of Section 28, all located in Township 14 North, Range 12 east of the 6 p.m. Sarpy County, Nebraska, generally located on the northwest corner of 108th Street and Highway 370. The applicant is BHI Development LLC, and this is Kingsbury Hill Replat 2. Public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Proponents, please.
John Bachman, 10250 Regency Circle. I guess since this all fits together, I would request that this also be tabled so that we can deal with the project in one piece.
Okay. Since we did publish the agenda as a public hearing, then the public's here, I'm going to go ahead and do the public hearing, and then based on your request, then I'll visit with council about that request.
Okay. And if you want me to make a presentation to make a record as far as the public hearing goes, I'll be glad to do that, but I think the ultimate request would be to table it.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other proponents? Do we have any opponents? And again, these do tie together, so we're carrying the previous discussions forward.
Eric Mahold, 11168 Sherman Street. And I just wanted to get clarification on this one. I think you're talking about just rezoning this right-of-way passage over here by the R2?
Mr. Sturzma?
It's replatting those lots that are on the western edge of this illustration. They're the ones that are already within Kingsbury Hills?
Correct, yeah, but because of the previous one, I guess the boundary lines are being redrawn slightly, is that correct?
Correct. With the realignment of 108th Street, we have to adjust some of those lot lines.
Okay. Then I'm a proponent if the two have to be passed together, with the other one having the safety concerns. If this is tied to it, then I have the concern with that. If this can be approved separately, along with the design, because the school is going into the area that's adjacent to this particular discussion, then I would be an opponent of.
Opponent or proponent?
I'm sorry, a proponent if it's just dealing with the school.
Okay.
Thank you
very much. Do we have any other proponents or opponents or neutral? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Leave it up to the council, but based on the request, applicant did ask that it be tabled. That is your discretion. Motion to table by Mr. Stubbe. Second by Councilman Florence. Please vote.
Can I?
Oh, yes, Mr. Jaworski.
If we're going to table this, can we table this till May 6th so we have a chance to talk about this at our council retreat?
Mr. Sturzma, what's the impact of the applicant in the school district?
I would say that would be devastating to the school schedule.
School representative's here, and he did say that's the case as well. We have a motion and a second table to the next council meeting. Please vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F9, Resolution R140038, a public hearing and a vote. A resolution to approve a special use permit to allow for secondary educational facilities as a permitted use for the property legally described as part of southwest quarter of Section 28, Township 14 North, Range 12 East of the 6 p.m., Sarpy County, Nebraska, to be platted as Lot 25, Granite Falls, generally located on the southeast corner of 108th Street in Lincoln. The applicant is the Papillion La Vista Schools. And this is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Proponents.
John Bachman, 10250 Regency Circle. We request that this be tabled as well.
Thank you very much. And again, since it is a public hearing on the agenda, I'll go ahead and continue with the public hearing and then take up that request. Any other proponents? Do you have any opponents? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Again, council discretion to table or vote? Say vote. There's motion to vote. I mean, you're making a motion to approve? Motion to table. We have a motion to table. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Stubbe. Please vote on the motion to table.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is item F10. I think table's going to be the theme tonight. Item F10, Resolution R140041, a resolution to approve an interlocal cooperation agreement with Sarpy County and the cities of Bellevue, La Vista, Gretna, and Springfield to create the Sarpy County Public Safety Communications Agency for 911 services. I'm going to ask that this one is tabled, and I'll give a quick update. All 5 cities in Sarpy County have been working with Sarpy County itself in regards to the payment structure for 911 services, and the 5 cities had come to an agreement on what that looked like. However, the county commissioners approved a resolution at their meeting just today that changes that agreement a little bit. And I want to publicly thank Commissioners Kelly, Warren, and Chairman Thompson for their leadership on this. They reached out to the cities, and from a county perspective, have continued a lot of the great cooperation we've got. And what they passed fundamentally was an agreement where the cities will continue their contribution, as we always have for 911, for 2 or 3 more years. However, at that point in time, the city's contribution goes away. We've been discussing that issue of double taxation for years and years and years. And it comes very clear in 911 with if you're in the city limits and your neighbor is outside the city limits, so the only divider is a boundary and you're across the street from each other, you each call 911, you're calling the same number, talking to the same operator, getting the same dispatch. If you happen to be outside the city limits, you pay once for that. If you're in the city limits, you pay twice for that, and the way it's always been. The county commissioners, with the agreement to take the city's portion of the contribution away, all county residents, wherever they live, will now pay the same fee, and in-city will not be penalized for that. So that's what they passed. So their resolution was an intent, and the cities now need to work with them to put the actual structure of that agreement together. That should occur over the next couple of weeks. So with that, all of that being said, I'm asking that we table this so we can bring it up at one of the next council meetings when that agreement's ready. Is there a motion to table? Motion by Councilwoman Klug. Second by Councilman Ingberg. Please vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Next is committee reports. The Audit Ad Hoc Committee met. We got the presentation, but Mr. Ingberg.
Just a quick mention of a couple items. We were without a chairman because the former chairman is no longer in the committee. So we handpicked one of the absentee members, Councilman Mumgard, was handpicked and unanimously voted upon to be the new chairman of the audit committee. And I won't regurgitate what we've already heard about the audit, but I will, for the record, thank Nancy Purcell, the finance director, her staff, Assistant City Administrator Chris Myers, Eliza, and everyone else that are involved in maintaining our audit procedures here, our accounting procedures here. I think we're the most transparent city in the state of Nebraska, and I think our citizens are presented with an open book when it comes to how we do business. That's a credit to Mayor Black and the city staff, and I want them to know how much, on behalf of the audit committee, we appreciate that effort.
On that note, I want to thank the council too, because it's you guys that set the policies and procedures that everybody follows, and you place a lot of trust in them, so thank you for that as well. No other committees have met. Do we have any comments from the floor? No comments from the floor. Any council comments? Just a couple of things. We had a progress meeting on public works, and that's progressing along. And also attended, if you're not aware, a press conference with the Omaha Storm Chasers. They made an announcement that July of 2015, they will host the AAA All-Star Game. And there were 86 players that have played in the AAA All-Star team that moved on to become Major League All-Stars. So that's a pretty major event in all of baseball. And that's going to be July 12th to the 15th of 2015, and that will include a home run derby, so you might want to put that on your calendar. And tickets, I think, the waiting list is already started for that. Went and read to a couple of elementary schools. Mr. Florence and myself, Ms. Myers, Ms. Chief Bose. We met on the Fire Advisory Committee regarding budget in the new interlocal. And I also attended a soft opening from a business perspective, the soft opening at the Twisted Vine, which is in the old hardware store downtown. That's a Papillion resident starting a new business. And they are having a grand opening a week from tomorrow, Wednesday the 26th at 4 p.m. is their ribbon cutting. Be nice to show support for them. And then also from a business perspective, it was recently announced the city's appointed city physician, Dr. Strohmeyer, is starting a new practice. He will be starting Premier Family Medicine, and that will be in Midlands Place at 84th and 370 is where that practice will be. The new building that's under construction right behind Mr. Vasco's building will be Dr. Strohmeyer's. And then I also attended Dingman's, being a great business partner downtown. He held an art event, had military art and a lot of local artists all day on Saturday. And he included one of the artists who recently also opened up a store downtown. So he's building a nice neighborhood there. And then Mr. Hoynes and I met with the newest state senator, Tommy Garrett. I think a lot of people think of him as a Bellevue state senator, but he actually has some of Papillion. He's got 84th Street East, south of Highway 370, and then it angles up into our ETJ into the Eagles. So we're building a good relationship with him as well and trying to educate him on this area. I think that's all the updates. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilwoman Klug. Second by Councilman Florence. Please vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
That is not tabled. We are adjourned.